television, iPhones, or computers, life in the 1800s was far different from life today. With no electronic devices or internet, the pace of life was much different. People couldn't just sit on their couch after a long, tiring day and binge-watch Netflix. Instead, if a person wanted entertainment, they had to get out of their house and see it for themselves.
One of the main sources of entertainment in the late 800s was theater. In 1865, the first American musical, The Black Crook, opened on Broadway. This performance about the Black Crook, or Herzog, and his deal with the devil found much success in New York. This musical marked the beginning of many American musicals to come.
10 years later, in 1875, P.T. Barnum introduced the first three-ring circus to American culture. The Greatest Show on Earth was a show exploiting abnormalities in human beings. Some of the most famous features included the four-legged woman, the human skeleton, and the bearded lady.
A few years after, vaudeville took the United States by storm. In 1881, the first major vaudeville theater opened in New York City. Vaudeville, made of comedians, singers, plate spinners, ventriloquists, and anyone who could keep the audience's attention for more than 3 minutes, consisted of more than 2,500 performers in the United States.
2 years later, the first Wild West show was presented by Buffalo Bill. This traveling vaudeville performance series was one of the most popular entertainment shows in the United States until around 1920.
To summarize, theatrical performances such as Broadway musicals and vaudeville acts were a major source of entertainment in the late 1800s.
Another major source of entertainment in the late 1800s was sports. After the Civil War, the popularity of sports grew as people began to see the correlation between exercise and good health. While initially only the wealthy could partake in sporting events, the opening of publicly available gymnasiums, courts, and fields allowed for the working and middle classes to join in the fun.
Baseball was the most popular sport in the late 1800s in the United States. America's national pastime drew crowds from all around to watch professionals play. After the National League was formed in 1876, the Chicago White Stockings won the first pennant.
Volleyball. In 1895, volleyball, originally called mintonette, was invented by William G. Morgan. A graduate of the Springfield College or the YMCA, he designed the game to be a combination of basketball, baseball, tennis, and handball. Although volleyball was popular, it did not start to really pick up popularity until the early 1900s, when the first national championships were held in 1927.
In 1891, physical educator James Naismith wanted to come up with a way to keep kids and athletes active in the winter. His solution? Basketball. Using peach baskets for nets and a soccer-like ball, the first public basketball game was played in Springfield, Massachusetts on March 11, 1892. Later, in 1898, the National Basketball League was formed, the first ever professional basketball league.
Tennis was a popular leisure sport in the late 1800s. In 1881, the first men's national tennis championship was held. It was played at Newport, Rhode Island. Richard Sears won the title, beating William Lynn in the final.
Ice hockey. In 1893, ice hockey was introduced to the U.S. The first known recorded game of ice hockey was played in the United States between Yale University and Johns Hopkins University.
Track and field. In 1868, the first amateur track and field event was hosted by the New York Athletic Club. This marked the beginning to a long history of track and field in the United States, a sport now popular at nearly every American high school.
Other popular sports at the time included football, golf, and boxing. In all, attending and playing sports was a big form of entertainment in the late 1800s.
In addition to sporting events and theater, many other leisurely activities were practiced. Some sportsmen in the 19th century entertained themselves through controversial game hunts, resulting in the mass killing of animals. These matches involved 2 or more teams of hunters, would go out and shoot as many species of mammals and birds as possible from dusk to dawn. Points ranged from 1 for a rat to 500 for a black bear, and the team with the highest score at the end of the day was pronounced the winner.
Many families chose to go to amusement parks in their free time. Cedar Point in Ohio was known as the roller coaster capital of the world. Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York was opened in 1897 and offered rides, fun houses, and motion pictures to the East Coast.
The Philadelphia Zoo, founded by John Penn, opened on July 1st, 1874, making it the first zoo in the USA. The zoo was home to a total of 813 animals during its first year.
National parks. Yellowstone National Park was opened as America's first national park. Sequoia National Park opened soon after, followed again by Yosemite in California. These parks brought many tourists in the late 1800s.
Without television, iPhones, or computers, what people did with their free time in the 1800s was far different from today. Among the major sources of entertainment were theater, sports, and attractions. The musical The Black Crook started a musical craze, while baseball served as the national pastime.
While at first glance it may appear there was little to do with no internet or electrical technology in the late 1800s, this is obviously not true. There was a wide variety of activities to take part in, and more importantly, there was something for everyone.